And we're back. What's going on, guys? Degen Dave here. It is Sends It Thursdays. A lot has happened. But if you guys were tuned in last week, we gave some bangers. We'll highlight some of those, especially that Jelly Jelly. Hopefully some of you guys took that. And yeah, over the weekend, nice little pump for some of those setups there. Not every single one of them worked out. Very disappointing with that link setup there, but it is what it is, guys. Again, the thought process that it should be going through a lot of you guys, right, is half of these setups will work out, half of them won't work out, but some of them are going to be bangers, and one of them is going to hit the lottery, and that's what's going to pay for some of these stops, and then you just compound the compound. But I've got a lot to talk about in a short period of time. Again, they said you only got 30 minutes. We pushed it to like 37 minutes last time, but you know what? I'm just going to give as much alpha as possible. And then, yeah, in the Twitter, guys, I appreciate all the comments. I did get married this past weekend, and yeah, I wish I could have been focused on the charts, but you know, it's nice to take a break. And yeah, some people in the chats are like, hey, we need the groom's luck or support. I mean, guys, I'm just a normal guy, and you know, hopefully I can bring some luck here and bring some positivity and hopium. But you know what, we got a lot to cover here, so let's get rocking and rolling. And you guys know the deal. My airtime here is completely off the radar. I'm here, you know, in the United States. Most of Banter is already going to sleep right now, and would definitely appreciate it if you guys could hit the like button, hit the subscribe bell notification if you guys don't want to miss the alpha. It just helps with the algorithm and helps push this out. And guys, I do appreciate every single one of you guys that tapped that like button last show, because yeah, apparently it was like promoted into some crazy algorithms, and we got over 5,000 views on a time frame that's completely kind of just off the radar, man. So thank you guys once again for doing that. And my name is Degen Dave. I've got a lot of free content, so if you go into the descriptions below, I've got a Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, always talking about alpha mindset. It's not just setups, it's just, you know, psychology in itself. And yeah, my whole goal here is to provide value to you guys. Obviously, there's a lot of other links in the descriptions below as far as trading exchanges with no KYC. So if you're from the United States, you're like, hey, how do I trade? You got to do KYC with Binance and Bybit. Well, hey, we've got 𝗿𝗏𝗡, we've got Blowfin, we've got some of these exchanges that don't require KYC, so you guys can participate here just like myself. But yeah, a lot to cover here. If you guys saw the tile, right, it was 100K crucial level. That is not a clickbait. We are really at a psychological level of make it or break it, right? Like, you know, there's a lot of chop going on right now. I'm sure some of you guys are like, what the heck? But yeah, we're getting some runners, right? We're getting the Filecoins, we're getting the ICPs, we're getting the 𝗪𝗏s data protocol. It's funny because if you guys were tuned into the show, maybe a couple months ago, we were looking at a swing long for Filecoin. We were looking at a swing long for ICP, and these guys are running today. What are the odds? But anyways, let's get into it. Let me show you guys my Bitcoin chart here, and I just want to kind of cover the tile first, right? It's not clickbait here, but this is a parallel channel with Bitcoin, and there's two ways of looking at this, right? I actually was covering this with the chart hackers on the Tuesday charting session, but we're really at a level. This is crucial level, right? Like 100K psychological level, right? And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of whales sitting in the sidelines that were like waiting for, you know, lower than 100K to buy, and I think those guys did step in here. But it is feeling kind of bearish, right? And the thing is, if you're a trader, it doesn't matter if you're bullish or bearish, right? We're going to make money on the way down. We're going to make money on the way up. And if you were to ask me, hey, Degen Dave, I mean, the bull market, aren't you upset that what if we go into a bear market early? I mean, guys, I'm down with the bear market, right? I'm down to catch the shorts. I'm down to accumulate more USDT on the way down to buy Bitcoin at a cheaper price. I mean, the question you got to ask yourself is, would it make sense to buy Bitcoin at 200K? Or 80K, right? So, and at the end of the day, we're still in this uptrend with Bitcoin, right? You cannot deny the fact that we are just creating higher highs and higher lows with Bitcoin. And, you know, if we were to take a look at back, you know, a year ago, you know, Bitcoin was at $60,000. So for 1 year to go by and we're up $40,000 on an asset, and you want to be bearish and think that crypto's over. I mean, guys, just there's opportunities left and right all the time, right? So anyways, back to this parallel channel, guys. Look, here's one thing that we could do is we can bring it up like this, right? And if we did, right, you have this kind of touch right here. You have the wick, and then you have essentially us breaking out of this parallel channel, right? So this is kind of something on the cards, something on the table, right? Like it's in the cards. Like we could be breaking down, right? And we have this level that I talked about last Thursday. So like I said, make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification. But, you know, if we hit 96K, you know, I do see some kind of relief bounce, but this is kind of the level I'm going to be looking at, right? So this is kind of the bearish case. However, if we do bring this down just a tad bit to where this wick low on the 7th of April is tapped, you know, we're kind of on it right now, right? So this is kind of the hopium, and I personally think that we will bounce 99K, and I'll get into shorter timeframes here in a second. But if we do bounce here, you know, James made a good point. You know, we were sitting at the you know, charting session on Tuesday. He's like, hey, what's that midline there? You know, what would that take us to? And that would take us to about 127K. That's all-time highs again, right? And there's a lot of people in Twitter. There's all kinds of analysts, and the reality is that this cycle is different. It doesn't. I don't care what your best friend says or your top analyst says. This cycle is different. Everyone's been saying alt season. This is the top. It's over. We're back. Like it's so emotional, but. You know, at the end of the day, the charts don't lie. And if we bottom out here at the bottom of the parallel channel, like the target says, we're going to come to at least all-time highs again, right? And I think that would be great. However, if we don't, you know, I see us coming down deeper, and we'll talk about those shorter timeframes here, okay? So getting into Bitcoin, I guess before into Bitcoin, let's look at the Banter bubbles real quick. Right, so AIA, I know there's a lot of stuff happening with AI narrative in general. You know, ICP finally taken off. I mean, we were talking about ICP many months ago. Dash on a flying right now. Filecoin. So there's a lot of the data storage narrative is waking up as we speak. ASTER seems to be doing quite well, right? You know, last Thursday I was telling you guys, CZ needs to have some kind of like life. You know, it's like ASTER's on life support. Here we are. We're finally bouncing. And then here for the day. You know, we've got quite a bit of green out here. Like I said, AI narrative, near protocol, Tau, you know, doing quite well here. Cash finally waking up. I wonder what's going on there personally. And then Zcash doing Zcash things, right? It just keeps pumping and pumping and pumping. And then, yeah, apparently Rand says Zcash is going to 10K, right? So I don't know how much I believe in that. But yeah, I think we've all been a little stung there trying to short Zcash here, right? So, but cheers for Zcash, doing it quite well here. So, and then for the hour, we're getting some kind of bounce here. So it's nice to see that. And then for the RSI heat maps, you know, obviously we just saw AIA on the higher spectrum there, Filecoin, ICP, Dusk. Not even sure what that is, but you know, could be a short there. And then things on the oversold, like where are some opportunities? And some of these I do have for you guys there. You know, like I saw Bitcoin Cash. I know ENA's out here as well. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And guys, if you don't know about the RSI heat map, just Google it. It's on CoinGlass. It's a good way to find tokens to long and short. So getting into some Bitcoin stuff here. Okay, this is actually some scenarios I was covering with the chart hackers on Tuesday. We pretty much nailed the bottom there, right? We were actually in the moment of, hey guys, this is where we should long it. But then I did talk about the first level to be aware of is that 104K, right? And so unfortunately, this wasn't the optimum scenario, right? I think a lot of us wanted a little bit higher here, but I mean, that's what it is, right? Up, down, up, down. So we caught the low. And then, yeah, this definitely was a TP zone here at 104. Very important horizontal level here. You can see when we lost the rising trend, we have this level that used to be supported, and it is now flipped into resistance, right? So that's what we call an SR flip, right? So where we had support here before, this is now acting as resistance, okay? So the key here really is we got to get above 104. We got to get above 104. And then if we do, there's still a level of resistance here at like 107.5, right? And what I've simply done here on the shorter time frames is I've dropped an anchored VWAP from the high here, the 2nd of November, right? And you can see the confluence of that anchored VWAP here. So in the shorter time frame, just as far as what has happened here in the last 24 to 48 hours, as you can see, we're rejecting the anchored VWAP, right? And it's an amazing indicator. Now, I do have another anchored VWAP here, and that's coming in at like 107, 108-ish, right? So if we, I don't know the exact song and dance for the next 24 to 48 hours, but if Asia was to send us down, that 96K level I was talking about, I personally would like to see this be the bounce. Like we come, we take out these lows, everybody gets bearish, you know, 100K psychological level. You know, this POC here at 96K, which I talked about last week, holds. And then, yeah, I'd like to see the rally all the way up to about 107, right? Which would be a substantial move. I think this would get a lot of people bullish, seeing a 10% bounce with the crypto markets. But then from there, that's where I would look to maybe hedge into some serious shorts. And if we are confirmed in the bear market, and we have confirmed that this is the actual deal that has happened here, right? We are breaking structure, then it makes a lot of sense to start looking for some serious shorts here at 107K. And that's kind of the hat we got to wear, is the bear hat, right? Until we can reclaim, until we can get above, reclaim, break trend and go, you know, for me, we're kind of in this bearish posture. Now, that does not mean some altcoins are not going to rip. We're seeing it, right? But again, there's no new money coming into the market. Retail is scared. Like, why would retail come into an environment like this, right? So essentially, it's just whales offloading bags, putting it into like JELLYJELLY, for example, or putting it into some of these other tokens like AIA, and they're kind of finding a coin that's a hedge, right? And unfortunately, that's just the game that we're playing at the moment. But you know, in the short term here, you know, I think it's important to everyone set an alert here at 104.4, right? This is, you can just simply call it the AVWAP horizontal resistance, right? And so if you were to take some of these longs here, this is where you want to take some profits, right? And maybe half off the table there. And then obviously set some alerts here at this 96K, right? If you guys have been tuned in here, I have a macro range pull. This is a big range pull that I have, right? And when you do a fixed range pull, you have what we call a value area high, you have value area low, and then you have the POC, which is typically a bounce or rejection zone, right? So it makes a lot of sense to potentially come here to 96K. We have these guys to deal with. They would definitely take out these lows here for anybody that's holding swing longs with Bitcoin. And I think that would be a nice little reset there. And then, yeah, like I said, I think we'll see the relief bounce, but it is important as well to track the downtrend, right? So I have all-time highs, and then I have these touches here, right? And yeah, the idea here is for us to get bullish is we need to break trend. Like Bitcoin needs to do the song and dance and break trend key, and then we can maybe make our way up towards the value area. I mean, that midline that we're talking about here for Bitcoin, right? Make our way towards all-time highs again on the, and for those of you guys that want to see this, this is on the weekly chart. And again, draw a parallel channel. It's an absolutely free tool in TradingView. All right. So I do have an alert set here. Okay. At 110, and I have it called breaking trend. Now, just because we break trend doesn't mean we're going full send to the moon, because there could very well be a fake out. And we had that fake out here last, I guess like a week and a half ago, where we had a trend line like this, right? How many guys remember this trend line, right? A lot of people got bullish. We're breaking trend. And what do? They sent you to hell, right? So it's very common in the crypto space to have fake outs, right? So that's why I said set an alert here, breaking trend. Let's see if we get confirmation. And then, yeah, that's where we would really fire off some of these longs here, right? So again, with the way the market is today and the chop, right, I recommend, you know, small position, like what Lord of Entry says, Dylan, you know, small position, nibble away at some of these positions here, and just get ready to take profits very quickly here. Okay. So that's my analysis for Bitcoin. I wanted to keep it simple, you know, the most simplest way possible here. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, yeah, let's dive in here. We're already killed 15 minutes of time here. So look, Bitcoin or USDT dominance, I think this is important here. We'll skip Bitcoin dominance, but I do want to talk about USDT dominance. So with the chart hackers on Tuesday, I told everybody to set an alert here at 5.75%. This is the 786 fib. This is max extension, right? So I have a fib pulled from the absolute high here to this absolute low, right? And you can see how we've almost came very close to the 786. So if we are to see 96K, 98K, you know, these levels of Bitcoin, I think a lot of people are going to get bearish, but I do think we're going to tap the 786 on USDT dominance. And from there, this is where we fire off these longs. This is where we can add to our positions if we see the rejection, right? So that is very key here, is we see the rejection, and then whatever the move is, if it's down to the 382 or if it's down to the 618, right? This is the period of time where we hold our long positions and start taking profits as we start to retrace to the 382 and 618. Okay, so just to keep things very simple, the cheat code, guys, set your alerts at USDT dominance at 5.75. Okay, now I'm going to get into some altcoin setups. We got 12 minutes. Again, I'm probably going to go a little bit over because I want to talk about these. But JELLYJELLY, this was a highlight from last week. And I got a little video here for those of you guys that maybe have missed it. Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that, guys, because, yeah, that was like a Degen short I gave at the very end of the show here. And sure enough, that's exactly where price action went to, right? So it came to 16,184 here, 16,18 or 16,24 here. Obviously, there was some other shenanigans in place, but, you know, just from, you know, tuning into the show, for any of you guys that did tune in, I gave you guys a banger there at the very end here, right? This was a highlight of last week, 70% move to the downside, right? So JELLYJELLY, that was the hedge. You know, you guys saw all the blood on the streets past couple days here. I mean, man, I wish I was in that Telegram group here. These guys ran it another 600% with a full round trip, right? That is what we call crypto. So, but yeah, I wanted to highlight AVL, right? So this was another setup I gave you guys on Thursday. This was right here. This was when I gave you guys the setup on Thursday, and we had a nice little 40% rally here. But I wanted to highlight this one because we're at entry again. We're at entry again, right? So we have a POC here. We have anchored VWAPs. It's pretty much at entry now for anybody that's like foaming at the mouth to enter a position. And I think this setup here has an easy invalidation. We have a rising trend in play, right? So if price action starts to drift below the rising trend, that might be cues to get the heck out of the position here, right? So I have a final stop loss, kind of from same setup as last week right here at this 1437. This is the hacker zone or the 618 region that we always like to call, right? So if price action starts to drift here, I would say losing the hacker zone is the final get the hell out of the position cue, simply because we could very well bounce off the hacker zone and then start making our way up here again. But I am looking for another move here with AVL. Again, this token has been doing quite well, despite the market, you know, the blood on the streets here, right? So AVL is a setup here. The other one I wanted to talk about is ZORA. Now, I just entered a ZORA trade. Again, small position here on Blowfin here. And yeah, I really like ZORA. We gave ZORA back in the days here with, you know, kind of around the 0.9 cent region. But here's why I like this. Number one, if you take a fib from the low to the high here, we're sitting on a 786 right now. And if you guys paid attention to last week, we took quite a bit of longs on the 786 and a lot of them ran up into the weekend. So we're sitting on the 786 right now. We have a bunch of bullish order blocks right below this. And then look at the RSI on or the prime chart prime oscillator here. Look at this. We have spider webs like crazy on the 2-hour time frame with blue reversal dot, blue reversal dot, blue reversal dot, blue reversal dot, right? So I took a long here, like literally at entry now. I did 5x position here, nothing crazy. Like I said, on Blowfin, this is my scalp account here. I've got a ZORA long here, 5x, $3,500 position. And yeah, look, if this thing starts to drift below, very easy invalidation. Now, the other fib that I really like about this setup here is I have another fib from the absolute low to the absolute high. And guess what? This is a macro hacker zone as well. So not only is it sitting on the 786, but look at this pocket here. This is the hacker zone, right? So we have a 786 on the shorter time frames, and then we have a kind of a midterm time frame, macro time frame, 618, and we have spider webs galore on the chart prime oscillator here, right? So I am looking for a bounce. Again, I'm not going to be greedy with this thing. 5x leverage, small position, especially in market conditions. But even, you know, coming up to these levels here, the 382 retracements of 40% move, guys, 5 times 40. 200% return, right? So, you know, this is kind of the idea here, is entering now and just having a clear invalidation. Now, if you want to ladder in low leverage, that could be a plan, right? Just remember, we have 15% down to the value area low on the macro range pull. In the midterm pull here, though, we're pretty much very close. We're pretty much at value area low now, right? So if you guys want to have a shorter time frame invalidation, I think get out at 0.055. But if you want to try to swing long this with multiple positions, I think 0.05033 is the stops, right? So if you are trying to swing long this, right, imagine, kind of envisioning price action coming here and then eventually making its way up here, right? You essentially merge two positions and make a run for it here. But I would love to see ZORA make a run up towards the POC or anchored VWAP from the highs. And we're looking at a 50% move to the upside here for ZORA. Okay, so I am in that trade. The next one I want to talk about is ETHFI. Dylan was looking at ETH as in a bound zone right now, guys, and I'm giving you guys longs right now, simply because there's a lot of blood on the streets. And even though I think we could go lower, it doesn't mean that we're not going to bounce here, right? So, again, I'm really going to be highlighting a lot of longs. Now, there are some shorts that could be had, short scalps or whatever. I'll show you guys that. But let me take you through my thought process here on ETHFI. Now, on ETHFI, we had a daily blue reversal dot. And one of the things that I've been doing lately, right, is this scam wick, this API error, whatever you want to call it, right? This manipulation wick that took everybody out. I've actually been using fibs now from that wick low. And I love how from this wick low all the way to the high here, we have been chilling on the 382 fib. And we had this green reversal on the daily as well with a bullish divergence here. So I love where it's sitting at in the higher time frames. And when we go to the shorter time frames right here, right, you can see how we have an anchored VWAP coming in here. And you can have a short stop here, 6% at 80 cents. But it does seem like if you want to kind of ladder into this swing long style, maybe 10% stop loss, whatever the case may be. But from the absolute recent low here, it is a 10% drop. So just understand that. If you're to enter now, there's about a 9% drawdown to the low here, right? And that could be a thing. This could very well be invalidated. If we do get invalidated, that means ETH is headed for lower levels, and we're probably coming down to the 618, right? So this is not one to hold to the grave and pray whenever we're sitting like this. You want to have a clear stop loss here, guys. And so I did take this trade on Bitfunded here, up 5%. And guys, just want to be honest with you. I had my live account blown. So I'm sitting here doing another one. I've actually got two Bitfundeds going just past the first stage. And then this one is quite nice, going quite nicely here, guys. But yeah, if you guys were watching Rand's show the other day, that's the beauty of these Bitfunded challenges, or, whether you have a live account or demo account, is that if you lose the account, you don't really lose anything, right? So again, I did a challenge. I passed it. I made $9 grand. And here we are. We're going to do it again. So I've got that ICP long cooking right now. I've got a Bitcoin short, and I'm in a near short. I'm going to take you guys through the near short. That's a kind of a scalp situation. Then I am in the ETHFI long here, and you guys can see my hard stop on ETHFI is at 0.8027. Okay, so clear invalidation. My invalidation is essentially right here, right, with this wick low here for ETHFI. Okay. So that is the ETHFI play. And the next one I really like is ASTER. I did give ASTER in the Discord and on Tuesday, and it's showing strength, right? We're getting signs of life. I think 𝗖𝗄𝗅 has some big plans here. As of now, it's holding the anchored VWAP from the absolute low, and we have a 618 and hacker zone coming into play here. So for me, I feel like it's a little bit late to the move here. Again, I did give this setup here with the chart hackers, right? So if you guys go into the descriptions below and you're not a member, I give all these setups here. Here's the ASTER setup. I gave it to everybody here right around 90 cents. And this one actually fully played out, which is nice to see. So fully played out here, went all the way up to the last TP zone. But now we're getting that pullback. And so what I've done here now is I've taken a fib from the low to the high, and, it's lost the 382. We are holding the anchored VWAP. But personally, I would love to see that wick here. And so that's where I'm looking at getting into the position here, is at 96 cents. Again, I think 𝗖𝗄𝗅 is a smart man. And, in times of blood, for him to make ASTER look strong is a smart business play here, right? So I'm going to join the party, whether we're long or short. It's feeling like ASTER did find its bottom here, right? So around 88 cents, 90 cents does feel like it's the bottom here for ASTER. And yeah, simply looking to take this one up here to the anchored VWAP, right? So entry is going to basically be at 96 cents with a stop loss here right around 91 cents. And then looking to take profits here at the anchored VWAP. And then, hey, we might even get the 786, which is a 24% play. There's also another value area high further at 130, which would be a 36% play if we are to get some serious bounce, right? And I can kind of see this happening if Bitcoin does make its bounce towards 107, 110 region that I was talking about here. Okay, so ASTER looks good. I do like it. The next one is NMR. NMR was one of the setups that played out quite nicely over since Thursday, right? So that was a trade that I gave you guys on Thursday, which we were pretty much right here. And we had a nice little 30% move to the upside here. So not as intense as Jelly Jelly. But one thing I can tell you now is that NMR has printed a bullish divergence on the 8-hour time frame right here. And it went a little bit lower. However, it is sitting on the 200-day moving average, right? So NMR is pretty much at entry right now. And again, I do like this level. We've had this as a rejection zone before, rejection zone before, rejection zone before, right? This is a rejection. This was essentially a wick. And here we are flipping into the zone once again, right? With a bullish divergence on the higher time frame. So NMR looks really good for anybody that likes the play here. Again, JP Morgan plans on funding 500 million or something crazy like that. I would say final stops would essentially be 1022 here. And the entry is pretty much now, right? And looking to take some profits here at the anchored VWAP, right here, 1293, and then the 50-day moving average at 1462. Okay, so looks like it's already 30 minutes into the show, so we are not going to end it now. I've still got so much more to talk about. Yeah, we're going to kick on here. ENA is another setup that I really like. Now, I want to have some setups in place just in the event that Bitcoin does make its way towards 97, 96, right? A lot of people are going to be shitting themselves like, oh my God, the world is over, crypto, oh my God, right? But that's where you need to be hunting for the big plays, right? And I think if we go down to 97, 96, 98, ENA is going to come here. Now, what's interesting about ENA is it just had a token unlock a couple days ago. This was yesterday. It just had a token unlock, and there's not an unlock for another 25 days. So there's some time here. So if Bitcoin in the short term can bottom out here and we make a rally, like I would love to grab ENA here at 28 cents, right? We have a hacker zone here. So same thing, like I told you guys, I've been drawing the fib from the absolute wick low from that API error right to the high here, right? You can see how the hacker zone is tying in perfectly with a value area low on a macro range pull here. So I have a macro fixed range pull here. You can see why it's saying its value area low at around 24 cents. And that's where I'm looking at starting to position. And yeah, this could be a swing long, right? We tried to catch the swing long many months ago, and it ran quite nicely. And here we are, opportunity number 2, right? So alert goes off, looking to enter the trade here. And then I would say final stops should be 24, 28. And obviously use low leverage because ENA is very volatile and could do a nasty run here, right? So looking for a run towards the 618 trend. 200-day moving average, right? This is a 50% play here, right? So again, low leverage, multiple positions, whatever the strategy is. And yeah, looking for this type of scenario to play out here, right? So once again, waiting for this is a setup in the event that Bitcoin does nuke a little bit harder. 28 cents, 28.25. That's where I have the alert. It's the beginning of the hacker zone fib. And that's where we start building this thing, right? And I would say laddering down to 25 cents makes a lot of sense. And if we start to candle close below value area low, then get the heck out of the position here. Okay, now Near Protocol doing quite nicely here today. I was doing some research. Near Protocol actually just had a halving. They're also working with Zcash a little bit here. Do your own research. But one of the things that I found here with Near is that we came and pinged right into the value area low on this range pull here. So typically, when price action loses value area low and then does a retest to value area low, this typically is a rejection zone. But obviously, there's some bullish fundamentals behind it. I am long-term bullish on Near. Personally, I would love to get into Near. I'm just not going to chase a green candle. So I'm looking at getting into Near Protocol right around 206. Okay, so let me kind of zoom in here and show you guys what I'm looking at. So right around 191 rather is where I'm looking at getting into the position. Now, you guys did see that I did take a short on Near right? So a lot of you guys are like, Degen Dave, teach us how to scalp. I'm scalping this right now. So if you want to join me on the scalp, I've got it going on here with Bitfunded and also on Blowfin. Okay, but I am looking to scalp this. And yeah, look, if we start reclaiming the value area low and getting into here, I'm getting out of this position, all right? I'm not trying to short this, looking at this as a swing short. This is a short scalp. And once we come down to $2, I already have an alert set here for TP, right? You can see here, I already have it TP1, right? And again, that's not a crazy move. That's about a 3% move. I'm going to take some profits and hey, maybe even get the hell out of the position entirely here. Now, I would love to see it go down to 194. This would give us a 382. We also have this anchored VWAP from the absolute low. We have a point of control here, right? So I would love to see something like this and then to flip long with near protocol and then ride this thing up here, right? Typically, when you see a big rally like this and you start to long right here, long in the tops, they always come and get you and then they go, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. It may or may not work out, but you know, obviously near protocol, very, very bullish. Would love to see the reclaim of the value area low. And essentially, if we get a position at around, right around 191, you know, taking this all the way up to 250 would be a 34% move. That would give us point of control. We have anchored VWAPs. We have 50-day moving average. We have the 100-day moving average. Like this would be the main target right around 259, right? So near protocol, very bullish. They're doing some great things in the background here. But at the moment, I just took a short scalp here with near protocol. Now, Filecoin, what's going on with Filecoin? Man, it is running like crazy here. Just watching it as well, kind of looking at getting into long. And I don't know why my risk to reward tool is all reset like that. It's extremely weird, but I'm just going to just redraw it here and show you guys. I had a short position here at the 50-day moving average, right? So this could be kind of like a near protocol play. Again, it's ran 27% today, so it is expecting to see, I am expecting to see some kind of pullback. Now, Asia opens up in about 25 minutes, okay? And if they open it up with some green, I am looking to see if price action stalls out here on the 50-day. In fact, we may even see a wick to take out anybody who's trying to short it right now and has their stop loss sets here. So I recommend setting an alert here at 193. We'll call this the 50-day moving average. Okay, and the idea for this setup here is to write it down to the 382 or the 618, which is where I am looking to go long. Okay, that's an anchored VWAP. That's a 618. And that alert here is set at 155. So that's kind of like near, right? We kind of ride the short down and then we flip long and then we go for higher, right? I do think Filecoin is probably going to get ready for another big move here. You know, we have this huge imbalance. And it, you know, if Filecoin is indeed bullish and whales are now using Filecoin as a hedge, right? The next hedge play, I could see us going all the way up to 240. And yeah, it looks really good here. So I think this is the first major move. We get some kind of correction halfway down, whatever the case may be, track the anchored VWAP from the lows, and then we flip long and we go. Okay. Obviously the 1 hour time frame, we are freaking cooked. We have 6 overbought signals here with Filecoin. Okay. So wanted to highlight a couple things here. So ICP, again, if you're not in the chart hackers, I do a Tuesday session here where I go over a ton of setups here. It goes into our Zoom charts. And yeah, ICP, a lot of people were asking me for the entry for ICP. We drew it from scratch. I told everybody, look, we need to come down to the point of control. $5, set your alerts. POC, anchored VWAP, right? This, you know, you guys hearing me say anchored VWAP coming down to the POC. This is a good example, right? And this was drawn on Tuesday. And for anybody that did take the trade, look at that. Played out freaking perfectly here for a nice little 50% move to the upside, right? So if you're in the chart hackers, you got that on the silver platter. And then also I gave an AERO setup as well. Okay, so AERO was a setup I gave. Let's see, where was that one? Right here, right? Told everybody set your alerts here at 76 cents. And sure enough, we had that retest right into 76 cents, right? So we had price action. I gave the setup right around here. We had that pullback into 76 cents perfectly. And then from the 76 region, we had this nice little rally here, about 22%, right? So AERO still very bullish on AERO. It didn't push as hard as some of these other ones here, but for anybody that is in AERO or has been watching AERO, or you're an AERO head, still looking for price action to find its way towards the 50-day moving average here, right around $1. Okay, so it is 5:38 Central Standard Time, guys. I've went 8 minutes over. Again, I just wanted to highlight some of the links here, right? So for anybody that is wanting to trade some of these tokens, again, it's very tough here in the United States or any area that requires KYC. So Bluefin, no KYC, no VPN required. You guys just saw me take some trades on Bluefin. Obviously, Bybit, that's a KYC exchange, but �we𝗡, also a great exchange where there's no KYC, and there's actually a 20% deposit bonus, right? So whatever you put in, you actually get a 20% bonus. So make sure to take advantage of that. And then if you guys were watching the Lord of Entry show, he was running Gravity there, right? There's it's kind of like the hype narrative. But what's great about Gravity is a decentralized exchange and the transactions are private. So if you're a very private person, you don't want people watching and seeing your moves, Gravity is a nice exchange there. And guys, I just went over Bitfunded. I think we've talked about Bitfunded quite a bit here, but it's where you can trade other people's money. And like I said, if you guys like the show, if you guys like the content, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok and get the alpha there. So other than that, I think we're going to close it out. James, do you have any words here? I know that you've been watching the news and it's just been more of like this up, down, chop. And there's an important thing happening right now, right? The government shutdown is coming to an end here, potentially tomorrow. And it's getting so bad to where I guess airlines are getting canceled or something like that.
10% of flights are cut across the country. There's a list that was published just an hour or two ago of all these different airports that are going to start cutting flights because they don't have enough of the air traffic controllers showing up to work because they haven't been paid for 36 days or whatever it is now. And a bunch of them aren't coming to work, so they just can't handle the traffic. They're just cutting flights. And I had always said that I think this is going to be the one thing that's going to force them to open. And sure enough, just before the show, I saw a report that came out saying that deal is very, very close. I have a sneaky suspicion we get a surprise announcement tomorrow, maybe after market close. But this can't continue. And it's right before Thanksgiving in the U.S. It's the #1 traveled holiday in the country all year long. And they're going to have 10% of flights cut. They've estimated it would be 3 million people that wouldn't be able to fly. Just a nightmare. And the public is going to just go insane. So the government's going to have to do something. And I think that's going to be the catalyst that really frees things up because it's tying up liquidity. It's causing problems, slowing things down. There's a ripple effect of all the people that are not working and are furloughed. They're not getting a paycheck. They're not consuming. It's affecting the economy badly at this point. So I got a feeling we may have a pleasant surprise tomorrow. Maybe a nice green weekend after all this chop. That would be nice.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Let's just say Asia comes, they make it bearish. We have this government shutdown, relief news, and all of a sudden we see the markets rip and into the weekend. It makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of like what we saw last week, right? Everybody was bearish Thursday. Are we going to bounce? Sure enough, we bounce into the weekend, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see some blood come Monday.
Right. Doesn't mean there's not some pain yet, but yeah, maybe a nice bullish weekend anyway.
Yeah. And you're wearing the red shirt, right? And it's more for good luck. I think you were saying on Dylan's show.
Well, that's what I was hoping. Yeah. Inverse red shirt. Let's see if that'll bring some good luck. So we'll see. If we don't get shutdown news tomorrow, though, I don't know. I don't know if this chop's going to stop until that happens. Let's just hope that that's the push. The airports and the airlines cutting is enough. We'll see. For sure. And they definitely need to fix it because I'm supposed to fly out for the Chart Hackers Bitcoin conference next week. Well, that's right. Everybody's going to Amsterdam. Kimmy, too, and a bunch of people. Anyone coming from the States, yeah, they're not going to make it. So let's hope they open up soon. Yep. No, for sure, man. So thank you so much. Any final words? Good luck, everyone. We need your luck. Yes. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, look, next week, as you guys heard, I'm going to be in Amsterdam. Still going to bring the content, the shows, everything like that. However, timing-wise, next Thursday, it's going to be midnight, and I'm probably going to be under the influence of some stuff. So with that being said, Thursday is still on, but it's probably going to be a pre-record, guys. I'm still going to give you guys some bangers, but it's probably going to be more like midterm timeframe stuff. I definitely will make sure that there's some setups to be had for the next Thursday show. So make sure you guys tune in. And until then, we'll see you guys on the next trade. And for those of you guys that are in the Chart Hackers, we have the collab session with Trader J in just a few minutes. So looking forward to that banger there. So cheers, guys. Have a good one.